Always good when your mouse dies, isn't it? You know what I mean? Warren intro. Yes, people, welcome back to another stream. Hope you guys are all well. Welcome back to the title race show, where only one panelist is actually in a title race, and he's not even fucking here. Roms has been pulled into an emergency meeting at work, so we're going to discuss the big game this weekend between City and Arsenal. Champions League, Forest starting to feel the pressure. Only one win in the last 3 games in the league for Forest, so we'll be asking both of you about that. But built to you guys on the panel, built to you guys in the chat. Make sure you're smashing the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. But yeah, let's start off with a City game, man. City versus Arsenal this weekend, Potsy, mate. Because for you, this is a must-win game, bro. Like, you got to win this, mate.
Yeah, facts, bro. Just speaking to Daps, funny enough, on his preview show, and said exactly the same, that this isn't really a game that you guys must win, which is mad to think that. I mean, obviously you want to win it because you want to go and get your Champions League sewn up, but Arsenal have got to if they want a title race. And unfortunately, we're in a situation right now where every game is must win. If we want to win this league, then we've got to hope that Liverpool drop 4 or 5 games and that Arsenal go and win every single one of them now to the end of the season. And that's a massive ask. Now, Liverpool got a tough game at Bournemouth, which I'm sure we'll get into at some stage. I actually think that's a really, really hard game, actually, by the way. I think Bournemouth have proven they can beat anybody on their day. This season, they've been, as have Forest, fantastic. I think they've been a shock. So definitely have one eye on that game, of course, as well. But when I look at what I've got in front of us, we should be winning this game, LB. Like, everything that we've got right now is a good time to play Manchester City, in my opinion. You know, if we dominate the midfield and we get you on set pieces and get at your defense, I think you're definitely weak at the moment in that area, those 2 areas. So as much as I'm a big fan of what Savio's brought to Manchester City, I actually like him. I also think the Marmoush signing's really good, and I think Haaland and Foden look like they're finally seeing where the net's at. I think we should be able to dominate your midfield. I know Kovacic was fairly good last night and has been of late, but I do think we can dominate it. So I think if we do that, we should get 3 points. My problem is there's going to be more than just Arsenal versus Man City on this game. You say it's a must-win, and I agree that it is for Arsenal. But there is going to be a little bit now, from now until Sunday, there's going to be a lot of videos of Gabriel getting a ball smashed at his head. There's going to be a lot of images of Haaland shouting "Stay humble." They're going to try and make this a big. You know what the media are like, bro. They're going to big it up, right? So I think there's going to be a lot of that makes it more of a rivalry / kind of intense game. That's what I think they're going to try to do. And sometimes that can work. Sometimes that can get players and fans up for it more. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. And I do think that you have probably worries about some of our players and some of the way that we play. And I think likewise, we'll be looking at some of your individual players as well, man. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game. I think the crowd and atmosphere will be up for it. And yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but I think it's like no pressure on City, but more proper pressure on Arsenal. And I never thought I'd say that, bro. Never thought.
I know. It's true. You know what I find interesting is how Arteta's going to set up in this game, because over the last few years, Arteta's kind of just like, I wouldn't say part of the bus, right? He has done that in a couple, but he's set up in a way that makes it clear that he's happy with the point, right? He's never really in the last 2 years gone at City and tried to take the game to us. And even when you beat us at the Etihad last year, it was like a counter-attack deflected goal. Whereas this year, I'm interested to see if he opens the taps up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because a point for City is a great point. I think it's a great point for City. Like, we're in a top 4 race, top 5 race. If we get a point at the Emirates, I'm taking that. No injuries. I'm taking that all day long. But a point for Arsenal ain't no good, Wolfie. They've got to win the game, man. And that's going to be interesting to see how Arteta sets them up, man.
I think it's going to be interesting because, like I said, for the first time in a couple of years, the onus is really on him to come out and show that he had that intent to catch Liverpool up. I don't think you guys are seeing it off the pitch for your transfer dealing, so you need to see it on the pitch now. And it would be a statement. I agree with you. Bournemouth away will be hard for Liverpool. So Arsenal fans need to look at this weekend and think, okay, we can start to close the gap potentially, depending on what happens at that Liverpool game. But you can only focus on what you can do. And if you don't get the win, then you've given Liverpool the title in essence. So it is must win for you. But I think the Man City fans are trying to dial down the pressure from your side as well. I think you need to win this one as well. I don't think Pep's going to be happy to not be talked about. in this game, in the build-up, it's got to be Arsenal must win. Pep still got to come out and put a statement. I know you guys looked shaky yesterday. Compare that to the Chelsea game where you had Marmoush and, the team looked a lot better. If Arsenal go on that front foot and try to play a high line, that's going to create the spaces that we saw in the Chelsea game for Marmoush to make those runs in behind. This could be a fascinating encounter. I just don't think Arteta's got the balls to go full out strong, that kind of not gun home mentality, but I still just think he feels he lives in the shadow of Pep. And I don't think he's got the balls to do it.
Well, surely this is if there's one game, right, where you have to, as a manager, say, I've got to go for this. Surely this is the game. Surely this is the game. He's surely got to do it. When did Liverpool play? Did Liverpool play on Saturday? Let's have a look.
Saturday against Bournemouth.
Saturday,
Yeah.
So you will know.
Yeah, maybe if Bournemouth win, maybe then Arteta will be like, yo, maybe we can be a little bit more conservative. But do you go through the whole week now basing your strategy about what to do based on what happens in the Liverpool game? I'm not 100% sure on that one. But I don't know, mate. I just think I hear what you're saying, Wolfie, about City, but a point is a good point for us. Like that keeps us in the top 5 race. It's chilling. It keeps us moving.
With your run, LB, that's the thing I'm looking at, the longer picture. You've got some hella fixtures coming up.
Yeah, but I don't need to be in the top 5 by the end of these next 4 or 5 fixtures because our title running. It's not title running. Our top 5 running. Our last 9 games of the season. There's a lot of winnable games in there. So long as we can come out of this horrible run against Brighton, which is about 6 weeks, within 3 or 4 points of top 5, I think we'll do it. So, I mean, what we got to do is avoid the defeat because if we avoid defeat, that gives us a bit more confidence. You know what I mean? Going to Emirates in the way we've been playing and getting a point, I think that's great. And it simultaneously pretty much ends title race for Arsenal, which would be pretty funny, man. I honestly think there's not a lot of pressure on City this weekend. I really don't. I think it's all on Arsenal. They're the ones that are going for the title. They're the ones that were supposed to win it when City drop off. And if they don't, and City manage to get something, then that's a huge L. But let me bring Dan into it, man. Dan Chelsea, what are you saying, bro?
I reckon you're overdoing it, LB, a little bit. I've just been looking, right. In the last 5 games, you got the best form in the country.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to be just off of the top 5. I know that running's tough. I think you're going to be. I've got a feeling you're going to be second. Sorry, Wolfie, you're not going to like that, but I think
I agree.
City are going to start applying some pressure. I actually think City beat Arsenal at the weekend. I've got a feeling about it. I'm not sure on Arteta ever going to. He does well, but I think. Look, part of me saw the news yesterday about Ollie Watkins with Arteta, right? And I was like, oh, fair enough. He actually wants to go and win the league, right? It's showing a bit of ambition, like they're trying to make something happen. But then at the same time, part of me just thinks that he's going to go there and try and do what he's done before and potentially just try and nick a point. So I've got a feeling City are going to be in amongst it, mate. I don't think it's as bad as what City fans are currently suggesting. I have a feeling, I hate to say it, but I think you're back.
They're doing the Chelsea, aren't they? The whole we went
a little bit. I don't think they're in
bit of that going on from the City fan base.
They're definitely in the race for the top 2, 3. I think without being there yet. I think you've just got too much when I look at the other teams above you, bar obviously where Liverpool are on points.
Yeah, but do you not think that we can finish second with getting a point at Arsenal?
No, I think you're going to go and win it and send a statement to say we're still here.
Yeah, because you're 6 points behind them.
Yeah,
you could pass this as a 6-pointer. Either they beat you, they go 9 points clear, or you beat them and it's a 3-point gap. I think that's motivation enough. I think that's
I'm not saying there's not motivation. What I'm trying to say is that we don't need to win. We don't have to. If we get a point, that's a solid point. If you believe the target for City from this position is to get top 4, which it is, because there's not a lot of people thinking we're going to win the league, right? A point's a great point. Do you know what I mean? If we get a point, I'm coming off that. I'm doing a review show and say, happy days, keeps us moving. We're unbeaten in 3 huge games, Chelsea, Bruges and Arsenal. We've come to one of the best teams in the country and got a point. Hopefully no injuries. Let's move on, yeah?
Yeah, but LB, if you get a point and results don't go your way, I think you could end up 7th. I know the points
No,
are still
yeah,
tight
but
and what have you, but
like I say,
isn't that a bit of a momentum loss? You've worked your way back
No.
into the top 4. Now you're
No.
down to 7th.
Not for me. I don't care. I
I
don't
think
care.
you're convincing yourself. I think you're
No,
convincing
no.
yourself.
Well, I do
I
because
also don't think City. I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm talking for LB here, but I imagine he's similar. I don't think if City don't win the league, I'm not really don't think they're too fussed about where they come as long as they get Champions League football. Well, I wouldn't be. If I don't win
exactly
this
what.
league, I'm not going to go. We better get
Mm.
second. We better not come
Mm.
now behind City. I couldn't give a damn. Like we ain't won it. I don't care. We're either going to get second or third and fourth and be in the same boat, right? We're all going to get Champions League, and we should all be happy with it. So I think that's what it is. When like Dan says, "Oh, I think City are like they're going to tell people that they're back and that they're still here," they ain't going to win the league, even if they beat Arsenal. So I don't think they are back as such. And I think defensively they're not back. Like in midfield, they're not back. From what I can see anyway, Melby might tell me differently. Maybe they've been phenomenal in midfield and defence, but I've looked at them at the last few and I still don't see it. So I think, look, Arsenal are not going to go there and blitz them. I don't think they'll be scared of our attack at the moment. I don't think anybody is. When even one area is your best threat, there's a problem. As a 17-year-old, your best attacker, that's definitely an issue, right? So I think that Arsenal definitely won't scare Manchester City. But I think our set pieces potentially could. Because I don't know what you've been like lately at set pieces, LB, but I've seen you this season and it hasn't been pretty at times. So I think that with Gabriel being the monster that he is, maybe, again, that's how we're going to be best kind of scoring, which is mad to say again because we've gone back to that. But at the moment, we don't look great in open play. So, yeah, maybe that's the way I look at it. But I'll just say this lastly about City. I think Manchester City are just going to have to take every game as it comes now because they're in a situation where they can find themselves high up the league. The Champions League, like that was a scare last night, 1-0 down. Let's be real. You're always going to beat them. I looked at it and thought, yeah, no massive shock that you beat Club Bruges and went through. But
Well,
from
we
what
weren't
I
going to beat them until
understand,
they made the subs, bro.
well, yeah, I heard.
Say,
I
Bill
saw your watching
Savio
on
come
them.
on. Like,
Yeah, I
Savio
saw
changed
you.
it, yeah.
I saw when they conceded, I thought, oh, let's go watch LB. And you were screaming at Pep saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? Tactically, it was a joke type thing. And they obviously changed it and you won the game. But I do think you've got threats. Like I think there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are excited about this because we're going to beat City at home. And I will say this. Arteta has not really done the whole we're playing for a draw at the Emirates. He definitely has at Etihad for the last, 4 years? But we beat you last year. And the season before that, we lost. So it wasn't like he was playing for the draws then. So I think at home, if he comes and plays for the draw here, I'll be embarrassed if I'm honest, because they're to be got at. We've got to go for it. We've got to.
But Dan, the difference is you were chasing in those last 2 years.
Very
you
true.
weren't
Very
ahead
true.
of them. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be interesting to see his approach in it. And I think looking at the City game yesterday, I thought defensively you were all over the place. I agree, Savinho came on and changed the game. But they could have scored loads in that second half on the counter attack, and they just weren't quite clicking it through. And, you know, I don't expect you to be that open, but the way you talk, LB, you know, defensively, you've been like that all season. So it could be a high scoring game. It could be. I need an Arsenal win, if I'm being honest, from a selfish perspective, but or a draw. But I don't know. It's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call for me.
It will be interesting, guys. Let us know in the comments, man. What you're saying? Is a good point for City? I think it is because we're in the race for the top 4. I don't think we need to win the game. I think a point would be good, and it ends pretty much Arsenal's title race. So let us know in the chat. Make sure you guys are smashing up the likes and subscribe to the channel. Built to LB says I have zero worry about that dusty Arsenal attack. Says LB, who is your front three going to be then at the weekend, bro?
Waneri, Martinelli, and Havertz. That's what it'll be. They're not going to play Sterling or Trossard in this one, I don't think. The only team news worry I've got is that Raya might be injured because he was last night. Everyone thought that we rested Raya. He was actually injured. But he was there. It wasn't a sickness thing. He was there, and I don't think he was a sickness thing. I think they're talking about it potentially being a muscle injury. So I'm hoping that he's back because I don't know if you saw Neto's performance last night, but it was comical, if I'm honest, particularly the first goal that we conceded. He actually tried to save it with his hands and he was out of his box.
That was hilarious, man. That was hilarious.
That's a madness.
I mean, if he touches that, he's basically sent off. So, like, it's just a madness. So I don't want him in goal, anywhere near the goal. So, yeah, I'd rather play Setford, I think, in goal. But, yeah, no, Raya hopefully will be back. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. A bit to show you as well, bro. Says, have some chest, LB. We are beating them. Their attack is garbage. Have some chest. I'm not quite ready to get my chest out yet, bro. To be honest with you, it's too soon. But listen, I think we can go and beat them. We definitely can beat them. But I don't know, man. I just feel that like Arsenal know Arsenal know they have to win this game. Like, they know they've got to win. They're going to be so up for it. And obviously, we're going to be up for it as well, right? But I don't know, mate. I just think that it's going to be. I've got like a score draw. I've got like a 1-1. I think it's going to be a super tight game. And I'm going to go for a 1-1, which is a good result. I'll take it. But if we win, I'm cooking Potsy, bro. You know what I mean? Because that's a
if
title
we win,
race.
I'm cooking you. But you know what it's like. If we win, I'm cooking you. But let's just be real. It's kind of it's potentially a mid-off, mate, isn't it? Because we both know we ain't winning the league. So whatever happens, it's like, well, Liverpool.
I know.
You know what I mean? I hate that we're in this position, man. I hate that we do, but we are in this position.
Dan, I think though, Dan,
Arsenal,
if you win this, you could like. I don't know. I've got a feeling if Arsenal win this, you get a lot of confidence and belief.
I agree.
100%. 100%.
I really do. I don't think you're out of it yet. I think it's too soon to completely say you're out of it.
We're not out. I'll tell you what it is, Dan, right? We're not. When you look at the table, we ain't. I mean, let's be real. We're 6 points off of it, sort of thing. I know they've got their game in hand, but they've got Bournemouth. They've got us to play still. They've got Merseyside derby. They've got to win. All that kind of stuff comes into play. Totally get it. I don't look at what Liverpool are doing, though, bro. I look at what we're doing. And this is what I keep trying to say to Arsenal fans. I don't look at, oh my God, look how far we are behind. It's still on. It's still on. Look at us pulling away from City and Chelsea and Forest. I don't look at that. I look at how are we playing? Is it a title winning team right now? And it just isn't. Now, if we had Saka, right, I might look at it differently and think we've got a moments player there that can get us our goals and assists, even when he's not playing particularly well. Now, if Ethan can come and replicate that, fair play, because it's a big ask, but he looks so good, man. It's scary how good this kid looks, man. For 17, him and Miles Lewis-Skelly both started.
That goal was like Robin last night, wasn't it? It was
unreal.
He
has got an absolute killer left foot. Like, you cut inside and City are going to have to stop him shooting, mate, because he looks like he's I think he's scored in pretty much either every game that he's come on, he's either scored, every game he's started, he's scored, or every game that he's been a part of, he's either created or assisted or scored. It's bloody mental. Like what this kid has done in that time. I think he's an attacking midfielder, but he's looking very good on the right at the moment, cutting inside like Saka does. So he's got that kind of killer left foot. He's a real stocky lad as well. He don't get pushed off the ball much. You know, him and Lewis Skelly's strength, they've grew up together. They understand what it's like to wear the shirt. They've had good culture around them. And I can really see these two making it. I really can. Like, you know, I've said before, give them time. They look a bit rash. And I've done that with players like Smith Rowe, Joe Willock, Maitland-Niles, Reece Nelson. All these guys, I thought, give them a bit of time, see what they're about. And I'm not really sure. But with these two, I'm not doing that. I'm like, they're going to make it. Now, it might not be to the next level like Saka, but they're going to be a part of Arsenal squad for the next few years. They look way too good not to be. So for me, that's the only exciting positive, I suppose, at the moment is we've got a couple of kids that are looking pretty good, but the rest of the team is looking dead. I mean, people told me Sterling played well last night. I don't know if anyone watched the game. He didn't play well last night. No. He had a couple of glimpses of running with the ball. He missed a penalty. He did get booked for a dive when it was a penalty, by the way. But other than that, he didn't have much. And we've just got a dead attack at the moment, man. A dead attack. Like, no one's scared of our attack. You know, any defense.
I think they would be if you got Watkins. Like, when I saw that news yesterday, I couldn't believe that.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, guys. I've got to be real.
Because of what? Because of John Duran?
Duran.
It's not happening now because of Duran, man. It can't happen now.
I can't see how you can sell. I don't see how Aston Villa can be Unai Emery can look at Aston Villa and go, right, I'm so happy with where we are as a league right now with the situation we are with Champions League football. We just got into the last day. We got the FA Cup as well that we're still in. I need to go and sell my two best players. That is just not what he's going to do.
Dan, let me play devil's advocate here, right? Because I completely agree with you what you're saying about Unai Emery. But when it comes to a Villa, there's two huge business opportunities. If you think about Duran, like in terms of minutes played for Villa, it's not that much, and they've just generated 60 million. They were obviously like touch and go with PSR last year. They're probably going to be in a similar position this year. If they then sell Duran and Watkins, who Watkins is a 29-year-old that they've just rejected 60 million for. Well, I don't know if it's been rejected, but, you know, they could go back and say 70, right? That's 140 million. They could go and spend 80 million on a replacement striker. You know?
So I agree with you, Dan, and I think they are going to get Disasi and Felix from yourself, from what I understand, right? So they're going to get two players in there. Plus, they could go and get another striker if they sell Duran and Watkins together. They could go and get a Sesko or a bloody Gyökeres. I don't know that they would go there, but they've got enough money to go and get a player like that. I just don't think they sell both of them in this window. Now, the other thing to it is, playing devil's advocate like yourself, is Watkins loves Arsenal. He's a massive
Is he an
Gooner.
Arsenal fan?
He's an Arsenal
Boyhood
fan, yeah.
Oh
dream.
my gosh, I didn't know
His
that.
He
boyhood
said
dream
in
is
2020
Arsenal.
he'd love to join Arsenal, but it's a long way off. There's a quote
And that
out
was
there.
3-4 years ago now. So we're
Yeah.
longer than that now. So we're looking at that as him being that kind of dream player that he
Is
wants.
it a desperation from Arsenal, Dan, or do you think this is a calculated move that they think Watkins is actually the right type of fit, or do you think it's got to the point where you need something else going forwards and he's a bit of a stopgap, like 2-3 years?
I think it's more of the latter, but I won't say that it's a bad signing that we don't need.
Yeah,
because he's scored 19 goals, 13 assists last season. I won't be excited by it. I won't get, wow, finally Arsenal already. We now got a Thierry Henry on our hands. We haven't, right? We're probably never going to have one of them again, by the way, right? So when I look at it, yeah, it wouldn't excite me like Isak, Gyökeres or Osimhen potentially would. They're my top three. I will say this, if it's going to start to get towards 70, 80 million, just go and get Gyökeres. Don't get Watkins for that. Because Gyökeres is 26, he's European proven, he's doing it for club country and in the Champions League. Watkins, albeit he has scored in the Champions League and has done it for his club, he's not really the number one for England, and he's not really, in my opinion, that elite level that I think Gyökeres could be. So I think Victor Osimhen and Gyökeres are probably two that would excite me more over Watkins. But Watkins is Premier League proven and he's scoring goals. So I'm a bit surprised that some of the people are like, oh, scoffing at this. Oh my God, what are we getting him for? He's better than Havertz. Let's just have it right.
I think if you got him for the next 2-3 years, I'd be very confident in Arsenal going forward with that attack. I think Watkins would be a great addition. The only thing I think where Arsenal fans would get annoyed, right, is it obviously, I think, would probably rule you out of going to get Isak in the next couple of years, going to get, another, not necessarily another big name, but maybe another big striker, potentially you'd miss out on, which I don't know if Arsenal fans would accept that deal.
I think there's another way to look at this one, because the whole Duran thing was going on yesterday, and the news wasn't too far apart. I just wonder, because I would assume that these clubs have connects and they would know something was going on with Duran. I just wonder if it's a play. I'm being a bit, conspiracy theory here by Arsenal to say, well, look, we tried to bid for a striker. It got rejected.
Wolfie,
it's the end of the window.
Yes.
It's hard to do business. Yeah. Knowing that Duran was going, being somewhat confident 60 million wasn't going to get over the line because of the situation. I just wonder if there's a little bit of that, because we see it quite a lot with Arsenal with the striker as well. We're chasing who was it? Vlahovic, whatever his name is, for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Vlahovic for 2 seasons, not happened. I'm just a little skeptical when it comes to Arsenal and strikers at the moment. I don't know what the beef is, and I just wonder if there's a little bit of that in the background. I don't know if you guys think that.
No,
I definitely think there's some PR involved here, because at the end of the day, we've all known that Arsenal needed a striker for basically for ages. And you've left it really, really late to try and get a club like Villa. You try to get their main striker, and you've left it this late. Whilst at the same time, you're hearing that Duran's potentially getting a move. I mean, this Duran thing, obviously, El Nasser only came out like early this week or late last week, but all January there's been rumours about Duran. So Arsenal have known that there's been these talks about Duran potentially leaving. So if you wanted Watkins, you had to get in there first, and you basically had to get there as soon as the window opened and say to Villa, right, instead of selling Duran, let us take Watkins off you, and then you can obviously keep Duran. I'm sure Villa would have been open to that. And it's almost as if they've waited for Duran to be basically half out the door.
So I think,
and then they've gone to Villa and be like,
oh,
can we take Watkins? And they've gone, obviously not.
Yeah. As much as I agree with that, and I think that Wolfie's bang on, I think this could be a little bit of we tried, but they're not going to sell him. It could be that. The other thing I will say is this bid went in on Monday before the Duran stuff accelerated. Now, there was obviously rumours that Duran was going. So I think what Arsenal have done is they've tried to be clever, and it's potentially backfired. And they've said, right, we're going to slap this money down on Watkins and make you make a decision. Which one do you want to sell? And then it's backfired because they've gone with Duran. Because I don't think anyone saw 77 million coming in from Saudi Arabia. I certainly didn't. I thought it was going to be Chelsea potentially or Arsenal that went in for Duran. But then it looks now like we've gone for Watkins, and then they've gone, now you're right, we're going to sell Duran, get loads of money for him and keep Watkins. So that's what's happened. And I think Arsenal have tried to be clever, and it's backfired. But it was Monday when the bid went in. It wasn't last night. It was Monday.
So have you got, is there any more rumours, any more links to strikers?
Well, yeah, what's next?
The
only other player we link with is Matthias Tell. from Bayern Munich, who's not really going to be, a player that comes in and takes us to the next level. The only other two options I can see now are the two players that I don't think we're going to get, which are the two that I would take, which are both the Victors. One of Victor Osimhen or Victor Gyökeres. And now that we've shown our hand and we've got 70 million, we're not in PSR. I was told we're not in nowhere near PSR. We can spend 150 million if we want on a striker, as long as they want to come. And this is the problem they're going to now say. No one wants to come to us. No one's available. We'll get all this crap. We tried. They don't want to sell. No one wants to sell. Well, how did Man City get Marmoush then? And how did Man City go and get two centre-backs? And how did, there's not just Man City, by the way. Other teams are signing players. It's just that I don't really care about other teams. I care about Arsenal. And right now, I don't think it's looking likely we're going to get a striker unless Watkins decides that he pushes for the move, because that could happen. Unai Emery has not said Watkins is not for sale. He's just said Watkins is our striker and we don't want to sell him. Well, he's not saying warn us off him, is he? He's just saying he doesn't want to sell him. If Watkins reps, like Watkins players reps have said, yeah, get him to Arsenal. He wants to go. It's his dream move. Watkins has said, it's my boyhood club. I'm 29. It's the only chance I'm ever going to get to play for him. Let me go.
Yeah.
Villa are now got to decide if they want to let him go or not. And
Villa can't let him go. There's no way.
Villa
are
looking
looking at pick up a fuss. I think he would want to play for Arsenal, but I don't see him as a throw my toys out the pram kind of guy. You know what I mean? So he would obviously want to do it, but I think he'd be very respectful to Villa. So I just think it's PR, mate. I really do.
Yeah, I don't see him. I don't see how Villa can let Duran and Watkins go with what?
No, they got Malin in, didn't they? They got Malin in. He's not really a 9, but can play that position. But it'd be a massive downgrade.
Unless they literally went, all right, we'll sell these two players and then we'll just go hit that release clause for Gyökeres. Maybe they could do that. Maybe they could just hit the release clause straight away.
That would piss Arsenal fans off more, I would think, if that happened.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of Arsenal fans would rather have Gyökeres.
You see, like Villa, a Villa out of like the race for Champions League now? What we saying? They'll probably get
they're still in it.
37 points. 37 points. What?
And I think with City qualifying for the thing last night, the playoffs, I'm pretty sure that gives us 5. Like it's pretty much guaranteed. I don't know if it is guaranteed, but I seen a journalist saying last week that if City qualify, because we were the only team that was like at risk, then it's like pretty much guaranteed that top 5. So it's the top 5 now. So they're still in it. They're only 4 points behind. They're only 4 points behind it, Villa. So Villa are not gonna be selling these players, man. Unless they can.
I think it goes down to Villa. After Villa, I think the gap opens up too much. So I
agree.
It's 5 out of 8 or whatever the saying is.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe Watkins will push a movie. Obviously, like we're saying, like it's 29. This is probably the only chance to get a move to Arsenal unless they come back for him in the summer. But I don't know, man. He's 30 in December, and I just think,
what if? Here's one for you, right? Watkins goes Arsenal, pushes for the move. Villa go get Tell because Tell is desperate to be playing every single week with no competition apparently, and then he'll be like probably first name on the team sheet to start as a striker for Villa. Is that a possibility?
Tell and Felix instead of Duran.
Tell, Felix, Marlon. They could probably get the job done with that.
I don't know.
I think we need a domino though, boys. If I'm being honest with you, this transfer window is dry. But it needs a domino, doesn't it? Yeah. It needs a Watkins. Let's just say Watkins.
Well, we're trying our best.
Which creates
a whole... 3 already.
Yeah, I know you lot.
But do you know what causes the domino? It's the Premier League players directly swapping. Because the Premier League teams are the ones that have the money, right? So if Watkins was to move to Arsenal, it then forces Villa's hand. It probably forces another team to look at Arsenal and go, that means Arsenal is strengthened, so we need to do something as well, because otherwise they might pull away from us. It might put Liverpool on their toes if they sign Watkins. It's like the inter-Premier League transfers, for me, are the most exciting. As much as like City go and sign Marmoush and it's a big player coming into the league, like when Van Persie went to United, Dan, as much as that'll pain you, I love transfers like that because it's like another team is literally trying to sort of throw their weight around in the Prem.
I can't believe you let him go to Man U.
Yeah, I was so shocked, but
and it won in the league. That one transfer
crazy,
won in the league.
Crazy. That was one of the most mad decisions ever. I just couldn't believe that, to be fair. But look, I think with us, if we don't sign anybody, we're basically waving the white flag to say, I don't think we're going to win anything this season. That's why we need to sign somebody. So when people are like scoffing at Watkins, like, let's be real, he's probably going to get us 10 goals between now and the end of the season, like Premier League goals. You'd like to think anyway, 10, 15 goals. That's what he should be looking at getting. And I think he's going to have the chances. It's just that Havertz is just not a clinical finisher. He's missing everything. And the other guys on top of that, to be fair. So I think it'll be a good signing. I don't think it takes us to the next level. I don't think it gets us across the line to win the league this year. And I don't think that even starting next year is guaranteed to win us the league next year. I think we needed that. Isak's really the only one alongside Gyökeres that you look at that rival fans will go, oh, God, that's a good signing for Arsenal. I don't think rival fans will be shaking, going, oh, Watkins now to Arsenal. I think they're going to go, oh, that's all right. It's a good signing.
If you'd have signed Watkins in the summer, and you'd had like players available and players fit, I then think you might have had enough. Because you'd had a full season.
I don't think he's that good. I think he's not that
I think he's a 20-goal-a-season striker, though. You don't think?
He's good when he goes. He's one who's streaky for me. Once he gets going a few goals, he'll go on a good streak.
What's he on now? 14?
I don't know.
14 goals? I'm just guessing.
Potts, let me ask you this question. Would you rather have Watkins in this window or nothing, and you get an Isak or a Gyökeres in the summer?
If it's Isak, I'd take Isak.
It's got to be Isak in the summer. I don't think Isak's sustainable, if I'm honest. I think he's going to be at Newcastle for a couple of seasons, and then obviously when he realises, unless Newcastle start winning Champions League and leagues within a season, which I don't see happening, then I think he will go after that. But yeah, I would rather hold out for an Isak than get a Watkins now, which sounds mad because Watkins could win us something this season. I just don't think he will. So I'd rather get a Gyökeres or an Isak. They're the top two. They're the top two, man. What I will say is if we do get a Watkins or an Isak or somebody like that, we'd have to change our style of play to get them playing, because I don't think they'd be phenomenal in the way we're playing. Yeah. I think we'd have to change the system, but maybe we would if we got a proper prolific number 9, because we haven't had one yet. So that's what we got. That's what we got to get for. That's what we got to aim for, man.
He's only got 11 goals in all comps actually this season.
He just, if I was an Arsenal fan, it wouldn't excite me. It just wouldn't
exactly that. It's not an exciting season. It's not an exciting signing. Sorry, it's.
I think for me, it's like the lowest tier of striker that would be acceptable.
It's box ticking, isn't it? It's like, well, you wanted a striker, we got you a striker. Now quieting down, it's that kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it gets. So it's probably not going to happen, but we'll see. Yo, big up to Paratosh, man, with 17 months. Says draw or City win is what I think will happen. Arsenal don't look good for a while. Not that we do, but we are getting better, says Paratosh with the 17 months. Big up to you, bro. Appreciate the support, man, for the 17. We'll see, man. We'll see. I'm going for a draw. I'm big up to City 64. Says Arsenal don't win when they have to. So pressure. Yeah, the pressure is definitely on, man. Big up to you as well. I've seen a lot of people in the chat speaking about Isak and that. I think the problem with Isak, is that he's got 3 years left on his contract. So I think right now, if Newcastle were to sell him, I think you honestly, I think you'd be looking at 140, 150 mil.
If Newcastle don't get Champions League, right, that probably means Isak leaves, because I think he's probably too good to not be playing Champions League again.
How much, really?
Like I was going to say, where does he go? Like, who's got the money to buy him and pay for him? Liverpool.
I think Liverpool have the money. City have the money. Arsenal have got the money. Chelsea got the money. I think
have Arsenal got the money though? Because I swear, like only a couple of weeks ago there was a briefing. They didn't have the money to get his sack.
No, I watched a video of some like finance expert who said Arsenal are fine.
I think.
Yeah, he's the one we all want.
And Brighton are the most safe on PSR. So there's no excuses. If 150 is going to win you the league.
Yeah, you
where's
do
the
it.
Ambition? Where's he? Just do it.
Yeah,
you do it. And Isak, people say, would that win us the league? I think we probably need more than just Isak, right? But Isak gets you closer to winning the league than we got right now. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. Newcastle aren't going to let him go. I still think Newcastle will finish the season strongly, and they could get Champions League football. If that happens, then Bruno and Isak will stay. So. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And you got to ask yourself, at 23 or 24 that Isak is, in the next 5 years, is staying at Newcastle the best job for him? Is he going to win everything at Newcastle in the next 5 years? If the answer is yes, then he'll stay. If the answer is no, I think he needs to go to Real Madrid or City, Arsenal, Liverpool, then he'll go there, wouldn't he? That's what you got to ask.
Honestly, right, this is what I'd do if I was Isak, right? I'd see where it finished. I think Newcastle probably will get top 4 at this year, top 5 at this rate. So I think they'll be in the Champions League next season, right? So if it was me, providing that they don't sell Bruno G in the summer, because if they sell Bruno G, I'm looking around thinking you're selling one of your best players, right? If Newcastle keep hold of all the best players and strengthen in the summer, and they're in the Champions League, if I'm Isak, I'm thinking I'm staying. So I'd stay next season. At that point, he's down to 2 years on his contract, right? he starts to get a little bit easier to get out of Newcastle at that point. I think right now it's too difficult because he's still got 3 years.
I
I
agree.
don't think
I agree.
they're not selling him for anything less than 140, right? 2 years on the contract. That price probably comes down to maybe 120, 110, right? And if they don't sell him then, that's when the power shift really starts to move to the player. We've seen so many players in recent years start to run down the contracts. And I genuinely believe this is the future of football is massively changing. I think Kylian Mbappe showed everybody, do not sign big contracts. And because of that, he got a big move. Obviously, Trent's now getting a move. And this is why you've got the likes of Chelsea. This is why you've got the likes of City who are out here. And if they're confident in the player, they're giving players 6, 7, 8 year, in Haaland's case, 10-year contracts because they don't want to lose them. If I was Isak, I'd just stay put for now, unless Newcastle start selling their best players, and I'd just slowly run that contract down. And listen, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, when the contract's coming to an end, if Newcastle are cooking, fine, sign a new contract. Yeah, but if not, you can get out there on a free transfer. You can get out there with 1 year left on your contract for cheap. That's the way football's going, man. That's the way football's going. You see all these players signing contract because the thing is, right, back in the day, when like 25, 30 years ago, when players were running down the contract, they were on good money, right? But they still couldn't take risks, right, with running down the contract because they were on good money for the time and they're getting paid a lot. But if they got a bad injury and they're out, that they put them under financial pressure because these players are earning 100, 150 grand. Even if you're just half decent, 200 grand, some of them 250. These players are just like, I'll take the fucking risk, mate. I'll run my contract down to 0. And then I can get a sign-on bonus if I join another club. And if I get a bad injury, it's a year. I've got the money in the bank because I'm getting paid so much money. I think
those conversations happen way before the contracts are running out. So their agents would have already lined 3 or 4 clubs up for them, telling them don't sign a contract.
Correct.
Run it down. Think of sign-on bonus. We can demand, 30, 40% more on your weekly wage and things like that. So I agree with what you're saying. But on the flip side, I look at Newcastle and I think they've got one of the best midfields in the league, in my opinion.
I think it's the best.
That 3-man combo is fantastic.
Yeah.
So if they sold Isak, as long as they got a half-decent striker as a replacement, they will create that person chances. I can see him going before that contract runs out. They would need to cash. If they make Champions League, we saw how they struggled to get their finances and players in last season. I can see it happening at some point, maybe this summer, but I think it's more important for them to keep that midfield 3 because I think it's one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I agree. If I don't get Champions League, I think that's when you can discuss players potentially leaving. But I still think Newcastle can do it. I had them 4th before a ball was kicked. And at the moment, I've got them. I've definitely got them in the top 6, and I think they can get that top 5 Champions League place. So for me, I think they'll probably keep both of them if they get Champions League. So you just don't know with Newcastle, do you? I'm like, there we go, because I was in the mud with them right at the start. I was like, how the hell can Potts put them 4th? They're 12th, and then they've now started to go, and then they go and lose to Bournemouth like 4-1. And you're like, oh dear, this is the problem with Newcastle. They're so inconsistent. Otherwise, I think you'd say they're probably going to easily get into the top 4. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, man. Guys, make sure you smash these likes up. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Big up to Craig, man. Big Newcastle fans. As we keep our starting 11 fit, Newcastle finish 2nd, man. All right, we'll see, bro. We'll see. Who's going to finish 2nd. I actually finished in. I think I might actually finish in 2nd on my prediction table, which was a bit mad. But yeah, big up to you, Wolfie, bro. Are the wheels starting to come off at Forest, mate? What's going on? Are you guys starting to crack under pressure? What's happening, man? Only 1 win in your last 3 games.
Do you know what? You're the first person I've heard to put it like that. And when you said it, I was like, oh shit, he's right. It's but the context behind it is different. Look, I hate Bournemouth. Right? We ain't beaten them since 2015. I was here last week saying I don't think we're going to beat them because they are our bogey team. Did I think we were going to get smashed 5-0? No. Am I going to give Bournemouth praise? No, because I don't like them. But, it is what it is. I know it's tasty. It's tasty. Look, Brighton for me now is a must win. Forest have to show because the mainstream media are ready for this. They've been dying for this. They were saying it in December. Forest, the wheels will come off. Look at their fixtures. We went and won 6 in a row. Now they've seen a crack. They've seen a drubbing. They're ready to pounce on us. So this is really important in terms of the narrative of Forest and the rest of the season. This game against Brighton, who are in bad form. who play a style that suits Nuno. We are at home. You know, we're the early kickoff. So if we go and win that game, we suddenly put pressure on the other teams. A lot of the teams around the top
I might
are
have to do a
playing
hate
each other
along
this
on that,
weekend.
by the way. I might have to do a hate along on that game.
I'm at the game. I hate early kickoffs.
I chat. We'll be there. What time is it? 12:30.
12:30. Yeah.
All right,
It's
and hate
12:30.
along 12:30, guys. We're hating on Forest.
Never back the early kickoff as well.
Hate early kickoffs. I really do. I really do. So look, am I worried the wheels are falling off? No. Normally I'm reactionary. If Forest loses, I think we're getting relegated. If we win, we're going to win the league. Yeah. But with Bournemouth, I always make an exception because of our history with them. But yeah, we were terrible. Murillo was bad. Milenkovic was bad. Sells was bad. The only player who could half take, a bit of credit was Alanga. Outside of that, everyone stunk the house out, and
Just
they
quickly
shouldn't have
before we continue with the Forest, how good were Bournemouth in that game? I didn't watch it.
You want me to answer? I hate them, bro.
I know you do. I know you do.
Do you know what? I watched it.
To one side.
Go on, Dan. You can answer that question.
Because it was a game that actually I thought should have been on TV because of where both teams were. But do you know what? I thought Bournemouth are doing really well. They found like this confidence out of nowhere with a squad that's down to the bare bones. But you know what I thought about Forest was, and I think this is where Bournemouth took advantage, especially with Clive early on when he scored that goal, is that I felt like it almost looked like you were set up to defend in a 5, but there was no central defender. There was just this huge gap where no one was going out to like close down sort of Bournemouth's number 10/striker in Clive. You know, when he scores that goal, I don't know if you've seen it, LB, but he's like outside the box, rifles it, and when you hit it from there, it just isn't going to stop. But no one closed him down. And I thought for a while, like Forest had this issue where it looked like they should have been playing with 5 because there was this huge gap between both their centre backs. And then I think did you bring on Morato or what his name is?
Yeah, he came on.
And then you went to a back 3, and I thought you looked a little bit more comfortable then. So I don't know whether it was that Bournemouth were like absolutely unbelievable. I think they're really good. The fact they've got 2 hat-tricks in a row is crazy.
Yeah, like what's all this about?
That's what I'm saying.
This goal infuriated me.
Oh,
you know what that came from? It came from a Forest throw-in deep in the Bournemouth half, right? And then what you saw, I've never seen it in football. Our back line just ran backwards.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they turned around and went, oh shit, should one of us go and close him down? The midfield were non-existent. And Clive was on the edge of the box. Identical shot to the one he had against Newcastle the week before. And he's like, I've got about 6 yards in front of me, no one behind me. Screw it, I'm going to take a shot. And in it went. That midfield was so bad at the weekend. And this was the problem. Because we went on the front foot and were attacking at that time they scored and had overcommitted, and Ryan Yates made a huge mistake. This is the first sign of worry I've had for our defense, because it's that high line. And suddenly, instead of defending their box, no one was there pressing Clivert. And what Clivert then did for the rest of the game, he was playing in between the 2 lines, finding these pockets in between the midfield and fence, and he wasn't getting picked up. And then Nuno didn't change it. He continued on as if Forest were winning or it was still 0-0. We let Bournemouth have the ball. We sat back. They were just passing it comfortably under no duress. And it didn't change until, as Dan said, when he brought Morato on. So Nuno got the tactics completely wrong. I can't see him making the same mistake against Brighton. But we have to score. We were set up in that game to get the first goal, and there was no plan B in case Bournemouth got the first goal. And then it was like, okay, what do we do now? And we just never recovered.
Do you think you're better with a back 5 or a back 4?
I think we're better with the back 3. I just think what it allows us to do is let Murillo step in to become almost the CDM, and you got the 2 huge units behind him.
I agree.
I thought he would have deployed that away from home because he's done it a couple of times. I was surprised he didn't. And that was tactically, I thought he got it wrong. And I think the midfield of, I think it was Yates and Anderson, was too weak against them. But yeah, I think when we get to that Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City game, even though 2 of them at home, I wouldn't be surprised to see that back 3 just to really solidify it up and then hit them with pace on the counter attack. But let's get to that. We've got 2 games before that.
These games that are coming up now are absolutely crucial, aren't they? I think for me, I think Forest need to be taking maximum points against Brighton and Fulham. I agree. Just to go into that Newcastle game with some confidence, the Arsenal game confidence, City game confidence, and Let's see, man. But yeah, I think if you lose or drop points again this weekend, that'll be 1 win in 4, and the vultures will be out for you then, mate.
Oh, you'll be
That
ready
FA
for
Cup
me.
game is a stitch up, by the way. Tuesday
Yeah,
night,
I know.
8 o'clock down in
Exeter, man.
Exeter. Oh
8
my
o'clock.
gosh.
8 o'clock. It's
Cheers.
ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. They just don't care about the fans, do
Nah.
they? It's like, yeah, what fits into the TV
What's the deal? Is
narrative?
it extra time and penalties as well, FA Cup, isn't it? So, like, if there's any sort of
that's-
upset
oh,
happening.
I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
a
I think-
long
I
it'd
night.
be a
think it's
late
extra-
one for you lot.
Yeah, I think it
Long
is.
night.
I think it is
Yeah,
extra time.
wow,
but,
that is a stitch up.
Yeah.
that's
The good thing is though,
disappointing.
there is a gap, isn't there, between the 1st and the 11th. So
Is this the whole like the whole fixture of the FA Cup this season that's played during the week? Is it this round?
I think it's because is the Carabao Cup that weekend just before?
Something like that.
I think that's what's pushed the FA Cup into the midweek. I don't know if
because
they're going to.
I think that's when Arsenal go to Dubai that week. Is that right?
That's
Dan?
the week Dan's looking forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, because
Mate,
that's better than a
Dubai,
January
we're
signing for
gonna
Arsenal.
chill. We're gonna chill. We don't need the FA Cup. Who wants the dusty cups? Do you know what I mean? We're gonna sit in Dubai, warm
Bigger
weather
fish
training,
to fry.
bigger fish to fry, mate. You know what I'm saying? We're
So
gonna
you
sit
got
in
2
Dubai.
weeks then, Dan, from this weekend to the 15th.
Yeah, we're gonna be going to Dubai for warm weather training. They're gonna call it.
You know,
But the last time we did that, we didn't lose a game other than Villa, so we went the whole way.
and your
So,
form
yeah,
going into it was horrific, wasn't it?
Really
Fulham and
bad.
Palace or something like that. Yeah, and then
Yes,
we
yes,
met you a couple
really
of games after it, so history's about to repeat itself.
Mm.
Great.
Well, we'll see, man.
Do you reckon you're going to beat Brighton then, Wolf?
Yeah, I think we beat Brighton. I think Nuno's objective from this game is a clean sheet after, because he came out in his interview and he said if you include the Southampton game, we're 7-0 down without reply because they scored 2 late goals against us. So for me, his indication is don't come off that pitch without a clean sheet. And then we will create some chances. I was speaking to my mate Adam, the Brighton fan. He's worried about this game because of the way they play, their lack of goals and the amount of goals they're conceding. They just lost to Everton away. I know they're rejuvenated slightly under Moyes with the manager bounce, but there's no excuses for Forest not to win this one, in my opinion. And
Is it at home, Wolfie?
We're at home, yeah. 12:30 kickoff. So we'll see how it goes. But if we lose this one, I will lose my shit. But with the Bournemouth one, I can let it go just because they're our bogey team. I can't stand them.
Where are you saying? Where are you saying? Where's your prediction at the moment for you?
Where we finish?
Yeah.
I think realistically 4th. I think Man City get ahead of us. I think it depends what you lot do, Potts. I'm still not convinced on where you're finishing with your lack of attack. If you get a striker, I think you could finish ahead of us. But I think 4th. I'm still not ruling out the title as a fan. I've seen Newcastle blow a 12-point lead. I've seen Arsenal blow an 8-point lead. I think there's still a lot of football to be done. You don't give titles out in January, as I keep reminding everyone. So, realistically 4th, but I reckon we have to win these next 2 games and then shake it up. I almost think these games are harder than the Newcastle, Man City, Arsenal ones in terms of expectation. I think we can go into
the pressure's
those 3.
on.
Yeah. I think we can go into those 3 if we've got back-to-back wins or 4 out of the 6 points. I think we're going into those games thinking, right, a draw, nick a win here somewhere. 2 of those games are at home. There'll be a lot of pressure on those 3 teams as well. I almost think all those 3 teams will go in as slight favourites, which removes the pressure of us. So, yeah, these next 2 games are huge.
Okay. Guys, make sure you smash these likes up if you've not done so already. Time to speak to Dan Chelsea because, bro, you guys were poor against us, man, at the weekend. You guys were poor. Obviously took the lead. Probably should have gone 2-0 up, Cole Palmer. He didn't show coldness there, did he? Bloody hell, that was a poor ball. And man, second half, to be honest with you, we could have scored even more goals, mate. You are now 6. So at this moment in time, you are out of the Champions League spaces. Only 1 win, I think, in your last 6 or 7 Prem games. Yeah. What's going on, man? What's going on? The wheels are falling off, bro.
The wheels are well and truly off, mate. Like, we're at the side of the road. We've called the AA. We're waiting for him to come and rescue us because I honestly don't know what's happened. Do you know what? I could see a blip potentially happening with this team being young and inexperienced, but the fact that it's happened like this, it just seems to keep getting worse. It's just crazy. I've tried to be patient with the sporting directors and the direction of the club this sort of season, and I feel like after that City game, I don't know what happened, but something just clicked for me, and I'm fed up. I'm absolutely done. Like, I've given them a chance to prove to me that football could work in a different way, right? They've got this crazy idea, or they're going to sign all these young players, and 3-4 seasons down the line, it will all gel, and we'll be ready to go and compete. I just don't see it happening. Like, we've got issues all over the squad. The squad building's been ridiculous. We spent 1.5 billion. I made a video the other day. People are saying to me, "Oh no, how are you going to say we've wasted $1 billion?" I worked it out, right? If you consider Chelsea have probably signed 7 players that have been sort of a success, right?
Yeah.
That means it probably adds up to around 500, 600 million tops. You cannot push it anymore to fight that anyone else has been a success at Chelsea. That's still £1 billion that you just cannot find any evidence of success in or decent recruitment. It's absolutely crazy. So I cannot work out what they're trying to do with Chelsea, with the squad. I can't understand the manager going away from tactics that were getting him results earlier on in the season to now trying things that I just think were absolutely sacrificial. Like that high line against City. If you didn't see Vardiol getting in first time, change it. He has been someone that has done that with his team against Brighton, Spurs, West Ham, and he realised that he would have success, keep going over the top of a high line. When it happened to him, he had no idea it was happening or any idea of how to stop it. Maresca, for me, is someone that concerns me because I'm not going to sit here and say I want him out. I actually quite like the guy, but I just think this is the issue with what happens. I think what it is he's going to take time to learn, if he's ever going to learn. I think he's stubborn, but I think it literally shows that this is what happens when you hire an inexperienced manager and expect results straight away. It just isn't going to happen. But when you put that together with inexperienced players and inexperienced sporting directors, inexperienced owners, it just becomes a recipe for disaster. Like, Chelsea are all over the place. I think that's why there's been I don't think losing to City is ever the bad thing, because I think that's possible for any team in the league. I think the issue there is it was just the accumulation of everything together and just a real woeful performance that just absolutely threw Chelsea fans into despair. And I think with the January transfer window going on as well, and the consistent picking of like players like Sanchez and players that just obviously aren't good enough having a chance in this team, and players arriving, pretty much everyone we signed in the summer is now up for sale. It's just doesn't make any sense. I think people have got to the point of frustration where it shows that we are so far behind a Manchester City team that are mid-rebuild. Where are Chelsea now? Like, we've spent all this money. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
This comment is bang on, because he does have a shaky. I know he's not got a long history, but he did that with Leicester when they were clear last season. But I would say have patience with him, because I've got quite a few Leicester mates and they adore him. I know there's a section of that fan base that is quite old school in the way they play football, but the way he drills his teams in the training ground and everything, this is it takes time thing. And I know this is a cliche thrown around in football, but if he gets his tactics correct, the way he does play and his style is really good. And he can get something brewing. It's going to need patience. Whether or not Chelsea will have patience with him is a whole other issue. And he needs the right players in that team. And a number 9 for me. You're another club who, like Arsenal for me, for years, I've been screaming, need a number 9. It's so obvious to see, which is why I don't understand why you're linked to some of the players you're linked with. I don't see how Garnacho improves you. I don't think he's a bad player, but in terms of what you need, I don't think he's what you need. And who's the other one that you've been linked with? There's another player, wasn't it? You linked to Tell as well, I think.
Yeah, we are. We've come out. Apparently, the briefing is that there's no goalkeeper or defender arriving, and there's opportunities for a midfielder or attacker.
That is just absolutely shambolic in my eyes. I think it is, honestly. I think he costs you at least 10 points a season.
But this is the thing, right? That costs us 10 points, and then Maresca continuously choosing to pick Sanchez. As much as I agree with what Wolfie's saying, right, and I kind of still believe in Maresca to eventually do better. I just feel like right now, continuously choosing to pick Sanchez will turn the fans against you, because the whole footballing world can see the issue there with Sanchez continuously playing in goal and coming out and backing him. I understand it to a degree, but actually when he is putting you in a position that your job could be on the line, the backing needs to go. Like, stop, hang on.
And Dan, you've
Protect
bought
yourself
how many
here.
goalkeepers? You bought an
7.
unbelievable amount of
Do
goalkeepers.
you know what? I was
man.
chatting to Rory the other day. He worked it out. Chelsea spent like 90 million on keepers, and we've got about 7. And I
It's
said this
still
in the
bad.
summer, right, Dan? I think it was on your show, actually. I said in the summer, Chelsea's best keeper at the club is Kepa. And
Yeah.
I got ridiculed for it, right? I got absolutely cooked.
He is better than
And
Sanchez,
I
though, isn't he?
genuinely
Look what he's done at Bournemouth.
people said, oh no, it's Petrovic, Don't get me wrong, Petrovic is all right. But after Petr Cech took him apart on Monday Night Football last season, I never looked at him the same. Look at Kepa now at Bournemouth. He's actually doing all right. And I
Really
still
well.
sort of stand by it that I think Kepa is better than the majority of keepers at Chelsea.
I agree.
But
I
what
actually
does that
agree with
say about our goalkeeping situation, right? It's absolutely shocking. If
You've
you're
got to get
down
one. Like, you've got to. It's just a must. Like that for me, the 9 and the goalkeeper are the 2 that you absolutely must. There is no way that you should not be looking at any other winger, midfielder, right back ahead of those 2 positions. Because when you look at any club that's won the title, let's just keep it to the Premier League. Let's not go across Europe. We'll be here all day. But look at the goalkeepers and the strikers that have been Premier League winners. You look at Cech, Schmeichel, Seaman, Alisson, Ederson, and then up top you look at Henry, Drogba. The list goes on. Chelsea, I'm not saying you need to go and get the next Petr Cech and Drogba. I'm sure you'd like it. They might not exist, but you can do better than Jackson and Sanchez, man. That is poor to spend that much money and you're left with Jackson and Sanchez. I think that's criminal, to be fair. I agree with what Wolfie said. I don't think you look at Maresca and change him like you like to do. I think you stick with him, whatever, and you go and give him the funds for a goalkeeper and a striker.
I completely agree. I'm always, do you know what, with a manager and with the way Chelsea have worked, I was always for changing a manager if it didn't feel like it was the right fit or they were obviously regressing in what they were doing in terms of their management and getting the best out of a team. But when the team itself isn't settled and doesn't know what it is yet, the worst thing you can do, I think, is keep sacking a manager, because then it will never get an identity or a base to build from. And I said that, obviously, when Poch was starting to pick up form, that maybe you just stick with him for a bit, even though he's not perfect. I say the same now with Maresca. I'd rather Maresca learn and get better than keep sacking him, and the sporting directors do a better job and everyone at Chelsea do a better job than what they're currently doing. Because I think that's what I'd rather than keep sacking people.
I look at some of your players and I think some of your better players are out on loan, like Santos. I was
He's doing
really
well.
pissed off that we didn't use him last season when he was with us under Cooper. And look what he's doing now out on loan. Like, I think you need to do what Nuno did for us in the summer, clear out the deadwood. I know it's the old thing, you got too many players. You really have got too many players. If you gave Maresca a smaller squad that he knew was his squad, that he knew he had to work with and couldn't just tag this person out for this person whenever he wanted, I think that's the way you guys have to go. And stick with him. He has an identity. This is the thing. Once he gets his identity into the team and installed, it is also attractive football and entertaining football to watch. I just think he just completely ignored it. Why he went with that high line against City was criminal, and you can't defend it. Marmoush was having a field day against him. And again, the keeper, what was he doing on Haaland's goal? Should he have stayed? He ends up going forward and it just ends up in no man's land, and easy goal for Haaland. So complete mess. It was a complete mess. And the other thing I'd say about that game is when you were 1-0 up, you had the opportunity there, in my opinion, to get that second goal. A second goal would have killed that game. And you just let City back into the game, I feel. And the rest is history.
Yeah, the thing is, right, Maresca come out, I agree with most of your points, to be fair, Wolfie, right? But Maresca come out and said, I think we were really good. We played in a way that we wanted to set up. I felt like City gifted us that first goal off the back of that kid making his debut.
Yeah, of course.
And then I feel like that opportunity to get in for Cole Palmer was almost a bit of a gift as well. I didn't ever look at Chelsea in that game and think, hang on, we're taking the champions apart here. I just never saw that. I just felt like we were actually getting a little bit lucky. And all right, you can win a game on luck and it kickstarts a bit of a run. And if you get a point or 3 points against City, you'll take it all day. But luck or not, but I just didn't feel like Chelsea were ever really
you were
looking good
poor.
enough. Yeah,
I thought the first half for City I thought we were really, really bad in the first half. Yeah. So to only be, I think we were 1-0 down at that point, I
Yeah.
think. And then in the second half, we just kept on getting in behind. I mean, Gavadio should have had a hat trick. He should have had a hat trick. The chances that he had, he should have had a hat trick. You know what I mean? And
I mean, Madueke gave up. Like Madueke literally was like, I'm not tracking back to cover this guy anymore. He kept playing him on side. It's just all over the place. And I just think a manager in the Premier League fighting for Champions League places should be good enough to see that. And I think that ultimately will be the reason, actually, right now, that Chelsea don't get top 4. Because I think there are individuals good enough to get top 4, top 5. I think there are at least 6, maybe 7 teams that have a better, more experienced manager than Chelsea. And I don't think that means you sack Maresca, but I think it means that is on the sporting directors for hiring someone that's going to take time to get to that level.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the same as Arteta was.
It is a bit, yeah.
You know. Smash these likes up, guys, if you've not done so already. A bit of news coming out. First of all, Dan's put it in the chat. Duran, you wondering why he's going to Saudi Arabia? Well, apparently he's going to be earning £850,000 per week.
Fair play to him.
Fair play. Yeah, I always say that as well. I'm not one of these people who are like, oh, you're throwing your career away. I'm like, go get the bag, mate. You know what I mean?
How old is he?
21, I think, isn't he?
He'll go there for a couple of years and then he'll come back to the Premier League.
That's exactly what I said yesterday on the stream.
I don't see a big issue with it.
Yeah, but once you got that money in the bank account, I reckon the hunger just disappears. Like, you never need to try again, do you?
Yeah, but he can go there, right? He can sign a 4-year contract. He can do the 4 years, right? That money then becomes tax-free because they have like this weird 2-year rule.
Yeah.
He can earn all the money and then he can come back to Europe, right? Out of contract. So I'd run my contract down if I was Duran. Providing he doesn't want to stay there, he might want to stay there. And he can go to all the top teams in Europe and say, right, lads, free transfer. Who wants me? And everyone's going to be like, all right, go on then, bro. Yeah, it's free transfer. So fair play to him. There is some breaking news coming out regarding City here as well, guys. I'm not sure how much this is relevant because I'm not 100% sure we'll even make it past the playoffs. But breaking news, Pep Guardiola is ready to register Rodri for the Champions League knockout stages in the hope that the midfielder can return to play for Manchester City in the latter stages of the competition. Now, of course, we've got to get past Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, then Atletico or Leverkusen, and we've got some really tricky games. But yeah, it sounds like Rodri might be available maybe April, maybe March, maybe April, something like that.
Is that worth it, LB? Like, is it worth it?
If he's fit.
Right. But even if he's fit, is it worth it? Do you not just say, do you know what? Season's probably done. Just let him.
Well, hang on a minute, because this is talking about the latter stages. So we got to be talking about the quarterfinals or semi-finals.
Who are you going to get in the playoffs? Like, when do you know?
Have you not seen it?
Real or Bayern,
I am. I just don't know who you've got.
Bro, check this out, bro. It's a madness. That's our run. That's what happens when you finish 20 seconds.
They've done the last 16 draw. I thought they picked that out the hat. How's it working this year?
It's draws tomorrow.
A ladder down.
Yeah.
You know, like the NBA playoffs, Wolfie.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the whole reason I think they've done it. Right, is to make this feel as close to like for the American audience to understand. I think they're trying to sell the Champions League to the American audience, so it now literally follows a very similar path to the American League's format. And
that's
the playoff
it actually
format
gets easier along as you go along. It's easier when you get to the quarters.
Anyway.
Do you know what? As an outsider watching the Champions League this season, I kind of liked the format. I like it.
I thought it was quality.
But yesterday was a cracking night of football. I think it's the first time in a long time that there was a lot riding on pretty much every game.
Did anyone watch one game, like as a neutral, or did everyone just watch the goal show? I'd love to know that.
I had both. I had both on, man. I watched Arsenal and I had the goal show on as well.
So. I was different because my team was like in jeopardy, you know. I got
to shoot, LB. Love though. Love for me, man. See you soon. Take care, guys.
If, say I was like an Arsenal fan or a team that was like already qualified, I probably would just watch the goal show. And maybe I'd my team on one screen and the goal show on the other. But because my team was like, yo, we're fucking going out. I did not give a shit about no goal show, you know?
Yeah. But, I had goals show up and then I had Barcelona on. I've got to say, LB, because I've seen you speaking about them a lot and the City fans will appreciate this. that Edison for Atalanta's quite a player, you know.
So,
He's quite
okay,
good.
so basically, right, I've had a bad situation, right? I do these things called scout alongs, right? Where basically it's a watch along, but I'm
No,
scouting.
I
That's
see
it,
you
yeah.
doing Echeverry and Super
Bro,
Breed the
right,
other
so
day.
basically, yeah, I have this thing that whenever I do a scouting mission on someone, they're shit. Right, and so I'd never seen Edison before, and I watched him in a Serie A game about 2 months ago, right? I swear to God, yeah, it was the worst performance I've ever seen in my life. The guy hardly moved. He was awful on the ball. And this isn't just me like being reactionary. Some of the chat watched it as well. Really bad. Then I watched him against Real Madrid, right, in the Champions League, and he was pretty good, to be honest with you. But I'm still scarred by the first game. And then apparently last night he was meant to be really, really good. So so that's another big game yesterday. So is he a type of player that excels in big matches, in big games, but maybe when fucking Atalanta are playing like Como or some shit like that, he's sort of a bit like fucking doesn't get himself up for it. I don't know, but apparently as well last year, I think they played Liverpool, and people are telling me he was absolutely world class against Liverpool as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
It might be that the pace of Serie A is like too slow for him, and then the Champions League livens up
It
a little
ramps
bit.
it up. Yeah.
His goal was really decent yesterday as well.
I've seen it.
I thought he was good.
You gotta be careful. I remember Nunes looking good in the Champions League before Liverpool bought him, and then he's been a disaster for them.
Darwin is such a weird one. He looked unbelievable at
Yeah.
Benfica. I still think he has a career somewhere.
Well,
Yeah, I still think he'll go to another team and thrive. Have you seen the Henderson news as we're doing latest?
Henderson?
No.
Jordan Henderson to Monaco, apparently.
No
Wait,
way.
didn't he just go to Holland last year or something?
Yeah, but he's currently in the 2-year, 3-year tax loop trying to save it. So obviously
he's slowly working his way back across
working
Europe.
his way back. Yeah, Monaco's tax-free destination as well. Yeah.
That's mad. That is crazy. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to sign a midfielder. Obviously, we've been linked with this Cambiasso guy at Juventus who can play midfield. But that's a bit weird. Like, I don't know, the journalists are sort of saying one thing, then they're saying another thing. So I don't know what's going on with Cambiasso. We've been linked with Douglas Luiz. He played again last night, but he's hardly played any football. So I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to do.
Dead window, you know.
It's
going to be the most craziest last night of a window we've seen in years, or it's just going to carry on being dead, man.
Wasn't last year dead?
Yeah.
It's
even the final day of the summer window weren't that exciting. You know what I mean? It's been years since you've had a proper old school, you know, pizzas
and is that
outside.
to do with PSR and like the
it's definitely PSR, bro.
Yeah,
it's definitely PSR. Because the thing is with the PSR, it ends before the transfer window. Well, I think it ends like maybe in the first week of the summer transfer window.
30th of June. Yeah.
So if you buy players now and potentially put yourself at risk, you've only got like a week or two or whatever it is, like, or maybe you don't have any time when the season, the summer transfer, you screw yourself. So this is why teams like they're only going to buy players if they're absolutely sure that they're going to be safe. They ain't going to risk it.
Because you saw a mini deadline last June, because we were part of it.
Anderson.
Chelsea was as well. Villa, Newcastle, where there's all this. I called it the PSR party, just switching of youth players.
Was it June the 1st?
June the 30th. June the 30th is the cutoff date. So you saw all these mad switches going on. That was actually more exciting than the actual deadline day. You know, seeing those players change for silly, weird money. So, yeah, I think you're right, LB. I think people are too scared to break PSR. But I still look at Newcastle and I think to myself, if any team should break PSR, they should just do it. Go spend 200 million, 300 million, take a couple of points hit, sacrifice this year and build your team. We did it last year and look where we are now. So,
I agree.
Yeah, it's true. That's a great point.
Yeah. All right then, boys. Anything else you guys wanted to speak about?
No, but that is a good point from is it Stephen or Stefan in the chat? What happened there at the ground last night, LB? Do you know?
So the merchandise like cabins.
Yeah.
It just sat on fire.
It looked massive. It looked like a pretty brutal fire when I see it on the
So I don't know. It must have been an electrical fire because
in the ground.
Yeah, well, on the
outside.
Concourse. Yeah, like
it's outside the ground. I don't know if they have them at Forest, but how they have food cabins. It's kind of like that. It's like what do you call them huts, but it's like a merchandise stall.
Yeah, like a Spudman van.
Yeah, so sort of like that.
Yeah,
And
I went to Forest City when you thrashed us 6-0. Is it near the club shop area that bit? Because it's quite a big area.
yeah, it's
you
not
got
too
all
far
that.
away. It's
Yeah,
not too far away. Yeah,
yeah.
it's about a minute walk. Just
If
that
you
down
go on
there.
Twitter, Wolfie, like it's like big flames. Like it was
Sure.
pretty.
Bloody
hell.
Yeah, yeah. Not like a
Yeah.
little fire in a pan. Like the whole thing went up, and it was like just before, obviously, as fans were getting to the ground. But luckily, like it didn't delay kickoff or anything. But yeah, it was
Yeah,
a bit.
check this out. I've got the footage here on Twitter.
Have you?
Well, that's not the right one. That's it. All right. Check it out, man.
Bloody hell.
See, how has that started?
Yeah, I would burn that. That's an awful training top, to be fair.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? How has that even started?
What
Yeah,
do
look,
you
it goes
think?
up.
Bloody hell.
That's fucked, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit.
You know what worries me about that is the first one is like someone sees the flames are small. Instead of getting a extinguisher or something, their first thought is get their bloody phone out to film it. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, it is the aftermath photo.
Oh wow.
Bloody hell, that one.
Fuck that, innit?
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It is.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how that must have been an electrical fire. It must have been an electrical fire.
All right, I know where it is. That's behind the club shop on the back exit, isn't it?
Is that
Yeah,
the
so-
Asda in the background?
Yeah.
No. That's the there's an athletics track there.
Oh,
The
yeah.
club shop is to the left of this now. They've moved it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's pretty mad, that, isn't it? Fucking.
Yeah.
I'll imagine how much merch has just been fucking burnt into flames there as well, man.
Insurance job, isn't it?
Yeah.
5K worth of merch.
Allegedly.
Is that right? Is that what it was? 5K.
Is that what it was? Yeah, five grand. Wow.
Someone set fire to the shit. Nah, come on. Let's be careful with these accusations. No one would do that.
I don't think someone's going to do that. I think it was just an electrical fire. I think it was probably electrical fire. They have all the lights, don't they, behind the clothes to like make it pop and that. And I reckon it's just like one of the lights has probably got too hot or whatever and just fucking burn some shit like that. But
Makes you worry about the quality of those City shirts, then, mate. A little
Bro, Craig says
spark,
£500 million worth of merch for the PSI. Madness. Bill 12B says Chelsea and City need a bigger squad because of Club World Cup. Yeah, that's but we've got to remember as well, we've got our own transfer window. 2 weeks transfer window, I think it is, isn't it? Just before that tournament starts. So City and Chelsea. Yep. So teams that are in the Club World Cup have a separate transfer window where we can buy players.
Wait, how the hell does that work?
Well, because FIFA want the excitement for like new players to be at the Club World Cup.
Yeah, but how would that say you went to buy a Forest player, right?
Yeah.
So you could buy from us, but for those 2 weeks we couldn't replace him.
No, but your season's over.
You could.
Your season's finished anyway.
Yeah, and you could replace him, but what would happen is you obviously wouldn't be able to like sign the dotted line until the official transfer window opens.
But remember, Wolfie, your season's over at that point.
Yeah, I know, but why wouldn't they just open it up for everyone for an extra 2 weeks?
Well,
like, surely that would make more sense.
That's a good point, you know, because it would make things more exciting, but probably because they want
you'd
these
be
clubs
reluctant. You'd be reluctant.
Want these clubs
say you came in for Gibbs White or something.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting here as Marinakis, I'm like, well, yeah, I like the offer or whatever it is, right? But I don't know yet if I'll be able to replace him, and I can't do anything.
But you can do everything but just sign on the dotted line.
You can do
that now. You can do that now, can't you? Like, we know all these deals happen before the transfer window starts and they're talking.
But
so
it would just allow the teams
it
allows the teams that have earned the right to be at the Club World Cup to have those players play. So it is FIFA being biased towards the players that are going to be in their competition. So that if, you know, like, I don't know who the biggest transfer would be, but say City went and signed someone massive in that window of opportunity, everyone would tune in to see that player playing for City at the Club World Cup. Like, it puts more eyes on the tournament. If City went and signed, I don't know, like Isak.
I don't like it because then it's an additional incentive for a reason for a player to throw their toys out the pram to say, well, I want to be part of this first one. Do you know what I mean? I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's actually not too bad for Premier League clubs because say we did buy a player from Forest, right? It doesn't affect you in the slightest because the season's over and then you can replace the player 2 weeks later in July when the window opens, right? But it's actually the leagues that are still playing, like, so the South American leagues where, you know, and MLS and all that kind of shit, where their leagues are playing during that time. So their transfer window could be closed, but then I don't know if their league will allow them to register the player. I don't know how that would work. So Not that I really care. It's not my.
I don't know what to think of the Club World Cup. Like, part of me wants to be excited about it, but part of me just thinks like it's just going to absolutely flop.
It's gonna be like the Nations League, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of them ones. League of
I'm
Nations, whatever
kind
it's
of
called.
looking forward to it, like, because it's pretty cool when you play like different teams and non-European teams. I kind of like it, and that when we played it last year, I kind of enjoyed it, but I just don't know what impact it's going to have on the start of our season and stuff.
Yeah.
But are you guys going to look at it as a pre-season tour rather than a competition? Do you know what I mean?
No, because I've got a feeling. I don't know about City, but I think Chelsea have still got a pre-season tour scheduled.
Yeah,
I think they're going to do both.
Right, so the dates run from June the 14th to July the 13th.
Yeah,
right?
it's a whole month tournament like the World Cup. There's going to be like a multiple amount of games a day, and they're going to like run it as
Where
if
is it?
America.
Okay.
So there's a lot of traveling as well, I think.
So the league starts, right? So the Club World Cup ends July the 13th, and the Premier League starts 16th of August. So, you know, you got a situation here where you basically got a month off after the Club World Cup. Now, the players are going to need to rest.
The players will take that transfer window. The players will have that off. I guarantee it. The players will
when
get
does
a
it
2-week
finish?
holiday,
When
like
does it
10-day
finish?
holiday.
July 13th.
So that's about, see, this is interesting. That's about time a World Cup roughly finishes, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what usually happens in a World Cup is those players that have made it to the semis and the final get an extra week or two off while the others are in pre-season. So what would happen if City and Chelsea got to the final? Are they then going to give their players all? Because it's the whole squad, isn't it? It's not just because this England player that plays for Man City and what have you. Are you going to have a shorter pre-season? Then does it impact the start of your season?
Well, that's
Liverpool
what I
gonna have
Isn't
a
that
shorter
what Pep
pre-season.
said? Pep and Man City asked the Premier League for a delay in their starts of the season
Correct.
next year, and the Premier League just went no.
Rightly so.
Yeah. So that obviously means that City will have to probably field a youth/rotation team potentially at either the start of the Premier League season or
what people have said would have been a decent idea is you play City or Chelsea on match day 1 of the Premier League, or you just postpone City versus Chelsea as match day 1.
It's not a bad shout, to be fair. It's true.
Because apparently City and Chelsea going to the Premier League.
Does that give City and Chelsea an unfair advantage?
No, because we're going to have a shit pre-season.
But that's on you. It's not our fault.
Yeah, this is where there is like the calendar is getting too congested. It is getting too
apparently what
congested
City and Chelsea are saying is like we're representing the Premier League in this tournament. Like just
I
give
didn't
us
ask
the
you
first.
to rep us.
No, you didn't. But the Premier League, we're representing the Premier League. We're representing the English Premier League, and that's what they're saying. Like,
You know, but I'm saying from a fan base that isn't in it, I really don't give a shit. It's like I want it to start, and you to have an unfair start. You know what I'm saying? It's like
of course.
Wolfie, that's the biggest issue, right? Is that do you not give a shit about the competition as well? Do you know what I mean? Like when it will be on, would you watch it?
I'll watch it. I like the fact it's in America because I like those late night games. You know, when you're just watching them and what have you. I just don't know how serious you lot will take it. I mean, you're saying about fielding a youth team for the start of the Premier League. You may find you fielding the youngsters in this tournament.
So that's what they've said. Yeah. They've made a rule to say if you want the money, which is big money, you have
100 mil to win. I think 100 million to win.
100 million to win it, but you can't take the piss. Like they put it in the rules.
They're signing a contract, Wolfie, right, or a like a waiver or something. And if you do not field your strongest players, you'll be penalised for it.
So you are going to mess up the start of your season potentially. I mean, it depends who you get, right?
Well, I'm looking at it. Like the Champions League final
set up Man City Chelsea. Are you saying set up Man City Chelsea as game week 1?
But that's what City and Chelsea are basically, I think, saying to the Premier League.
You can't.
We had it this season. To be fair, like we had it this season.
Yeah, the first game. They're saying that's what they say. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm looking at it here, right? So the Champions League finals on the 31st of May, right? So let's just say it's very unlikely, but let's just say City fluke it and get to the Champions League final, right? They've then got 2 weeks until the start of the Club World Cup, so you're probably going to have to give them a week off. They're going to need it anyway because they'll be on the piss for a week, right? They'll come back. They'll probably fly to America. You have a week before the games start because obviously there'll probably be like loads of media duties and all that kind of shit over there. You'll probably want to get a week rest. You then have the thing. If you then got to the final of the Club World Cup, you're then going to have to give them another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks off.
Yeah.
They've only got a week. I don't know. Have we even got a pre-season?
I'm sure Chelsea have got pre-season fixtures lined up. I'm sure they do. I don't think they're
There's
using
usually
it as
that
their
America
pre-season.
summer series, isn't there, as well?
Yeah. Well, what I would think would happen is pre-season would probably be like if your team gets far enough into this competition, they'll probably send out like a reserve team to go and do pre-season because of it's just the global attraction of Chelsea being there
Because there's
in
money
Asia
in
or
that
America
as well. Yeah.
Exactly right. So they'll go and send the loan squad or something like that, Chelsea or City, I would think. But it's crazy.
It'd be
Do you know what?
interesting
It'll
how
be
it
the
goes
end
out.
of Jack Grealish if you do well in the Champions League, and then this like you never see him again.
Yeah, I think Jack Grealish is done anyway, bro. I think Jack Grealish is finished, mate.
Wolfie, I'd love you to sign him and then have Jota and Jack Grealish on the same team. That'd be like a commentator's
Hey,
nightmare.
could you imagine if they both went in on a tackle? The ref wouldn't know who to book, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, what was
Dennis
that
is
before?
saying this.
Kieran Gibbs, Oxlade-Chamberlain, wasn't it? The mistaken identity before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, check this as well about there's Nations League fixtures in June as well. Fucking hell.
Ooh.
This
That
is crazy. This is the issue with having UEFA, FIFA, and then obviously all the leagues
Yeah.
as well being individuals. It's just too much. Like the players, I think the players will start to protest because I just think they're not going to be able to hack it.
But can
Like,
they
it doesn't matter
protest? Do you have
Yeah.
sympathy with them, with the money
do
they're on?
you know what? I do a little bit. No matter
I
how much
don't.
money they earn, I think it is they are almost used in a way that is like what there's a word for it. I can't think what it's called.
Like exploitative.
Yeah, they are exploited. They definitely are by the top. The top of the footballing world do not really care. And I mean, look at last night. There's 18 games on in one evening. Like that is kind of crazy. Like
It was cool though.
it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. And as a one-off, it is exciting. But the Nations League, I've never been excited by that competition. I
Yeah.
think you could scrap that in a heartbeat. No one
Yeah,
cares.
it's
No,
so
it's
dead,
confusing
isn't
as
it?
anything as well. I think they are exploited, and I think the way they're like held by contracts and they can't just resign if they want to, and they'll lose out. Like I'll find the word, but the way footballers are treated is kind of draconian. That's the word I'm looking for. It's very old fashioned. And there was that case, obviously, with Lasagna Diarra a few months ago. I think that is going to kickstart something. I think the accountants and lawyers for footballers are just trying to work out where they stand now off the back of that.
Do you know the easiest solution? And I think a lot would agree with me. Scrap the fucking international friendlies. Scrap that. Because it wastes 2 weeks, 4 or 5 times the season. You could start the season later. Yeah. If you need to play these friendlies and qualifications, do them all in the summer, man. Do a 2-week period, a game every 3-4 days, whatever it needs to be.
But there's
Get
no
rid of
room in
them.
the summer now, Wolfie, with this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you get rid of them in the season,
Right.
Dan, then what you're doing is you're
extra room.
creating a bigger summer window. Yeah,
It's true.
because nothing annoys me more than these international breaks. I don't care if England are playing Slovenia and some friendly or whatever. Not interested. I'm interested in the tournaments, and also allow the top 16 seeded teams to automatically qualify. Scrap these bloody qualifications and these friendlies. Yeah, that creates the space, and I think everyone would prefer it. And then bring in your Club World Cups and all those tournaments. You'll have more time for them.
I hate international friendlies. I think they're awful, man. They're just so shit, and it's just
What
boring.
do you learn from it? What do you learn from it? England are playing freaking San Marino. You know they're going to beat them. What you're going to learn is how many goals is it going to be by?
What you could do is just before the tournament starts, the teams could have like 2 or 3 friendly games if they want.
Exactly.
So if you got the World Cup, just start 2 weeks early and just throw a couple friendlies in there. And it's up to the nation. If you don't want to have friendlies, don't have friendlies. If you do, but
would you rather have Nations League or international friendlies?
I think
what are you saying? Nations League in the summer?
No, I just think don't, because that'll be something UEFA are probably thinking of. But I would say if you got rid of Nations League, then I think the friendlies would come back into like there'd be even more friendlies.
I don't see the Nations League though as like I just see it's just trying to gloss it up. Yeah, it's a glorified friend. I just don't care about it. Like it's just not interesting to me one little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I think that's the only reason they've called it Nations League is to try and like make it look good. Because no one was tuning into friendlies because they're dull as anything. And now it's like
I don't even know who won the last one. I'll be honest. I ain't got a clue.
I just know Southgate failed to win it. That's all I know about it. Didn't he? Didn't we get to the semis?
No clue.
I think we got beat in the final, did we not? Did we not get beat off the final?
No idea.
Yeah, Holland or
God
Portugal?
knows.
Or was it in Portugal? I can't remember. That's it. That's how
Isn't that the
irrelevant
point?
that
Isn't that
yeah.
the point? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Spain.
not
Oh,
apparently.
Spain won. That's true, actually, because they went into the Euros as the winners of the Nations League with
Did they get a
Bella
star on
Fuente.
their shirt for that? You know what I'm saying? It's pointless. It's pointless.
Yeah. And
Crazy.
obviously as well, you know what's mad, right? Oh, we got on the stream in on another channel, but on the players, it's like, you know, the PSR then slams the club to be able to spend more play and have a bigger wage bill. So the clubs can't even have more players. You know what I mean? I know they're technically allowed 25, but like they're not allowed 25 like big man squad because they can't have the wages because they're not allowed it because of PSR. So they got this PSR that's coming in. These players are saying, well, I need rest. We need to buy more players. And the clubs are saying, we can't buy more players because of PSR because you're all getting paid fucking 300 grand a week. So it's like,
it's that simple. Why don't they have owners put in? Because the whole point about PSR is not to have yourself a Portsmouth again, you know, or an administration and what have you. Why not have bonds at the start of the season that the club say, right, we want to spend 300 million. Yeah. Here's our bond from our ownership that will protect the club so it doesn't go bust. Spend what you want. Yeah.
I agree.
Do it that way.
That's a great shout, Wolfie.
Well, I've been saying this for fucking 10 years, man.
I actually rate that. That's really good. Like a guarantee from the owners to be able to spend this. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Exactly. You should put it into an escrow account, bro. And if Newcastle say, listen, we want to spend all this money, we want to have a wage bill of £700 million, all the Premier League says, all right, no worries, deposit £700 million into an escrow account. So if you fuck off, Newcastle can survive for at least a year while someone can come in and try and sort the shit out.
Yeah, exactly. I rate that.
You know what I mean? And then if you don't want to spend, money, you get a lower amount, and you know you just top it up with inflation each year. It goes up slightly. Do you know what I mean?
And the interest those clubs would earn on those accounts would be
phenomenal. That's the maddest thing as well.
Yeah.
You fucking earn fucking 50, 60 million.
And the banks wouldn't care. They'd be loving it. Like,
exactly.
Premier League, put it in the Premier League bank. They'll earn their interest off it. They'll love it.
And you know what would that do? You know what that would do? You know why this would never happen, right? It's because that would expose the owners that really don't want to.
True.
Because PSR gives these owners an excuse as to not spend because they can go.
I can just picture Egg Barley there with like putting billions of pounds in, but it'd be like you can only access that if the player's under 24 years old. I can just picture it now. Like,
yeah, but you're spot on. You wouldn't see the Glazers spend. You wouldn't see FSG spend.
Glazers will be there putting out a tenner.
You know who you'd see? You'd see Forest, Newcastle, and Villa putting out the strings, and Man City as well. Quite happy to spend. You'd see a massive shake-up in the Premier League. It'd be well exciting to see.
But the thing is as well, right? You don't have to do it all at once. So like I said 10 years ago, give them like 6 or 7 years to put the money in the account. And then if they don't have the money in the account by the end of the 7 years, hit them with 40-point deductions. Because the problem is, right, you know when like Forest got the deduction last year, Everton got the deduction, right? All the fans are going sick because they principally disagree with the rules. Whereas if you put these rules in place for the bond, and my club didn't put the money in the account after 7 years and they got hit with a deduction, I wouldn't be mad at the Premier League. I'd be mad at my owners because you're not protecting my club. That's the difference, man. Just fucking put the rules in. But they're never going to do that because, you know, they're just not. And it would expose all the owners and then, you know, they have control. They're the ones that vote for these rules. So, yeah, it's a madness. Anyway, we'll leave it there, man. Big up to LB with a super chat again. Says City and Chelsea got 60 million just for being there at the Club World Cup, apparently, which is crazy. But yeah, there's big money involved in that. Big money. I know the games are free to air as well. Which is,
on DAZN. Yeah, DAZN spent $1 billion apparently that was gifted to him about a month before from FIFA.
Yeah. It's a little bit dodgy, just a bit dodgy. All right, lads, we'll leave it there, man. Make sure you guys smash up the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. Dan's live on his channel now, speaking about signings. I'm going live on Troops as well, speaking about City versus Arsenal, man. So if you want to come listen to more City talk, come over there. If you want to listen to Dan's transfer talk about Chelsea, head over there, man. But yeah, big up to Wolfie, big up to Dan, big up to Dan Potts, who had to leave earlier, and obviously Roms couldn't make it today. He was in a meeting. But yeah, same time next week, guys. Every Thursday, midday, the title talk, where only one person is in a title race. Peace out.